This week on Jenna Tries, we are tackling the Lone Star Quilt. This whip has been in my pile of things to do since 2022, which is absolutely crazy. And let's see how far I got. We got a bunch of strips. We have one singular diamond for the Lone Star. And then we have some strips that I need to sew together that were cut at I think it's a 45-degree angle. So I really didn't get very far on it. And thinking back to my 2022 self, I know that I got frustrated because I could not line up my points perfectly. And most of the time I'm not a perfectionist when I quilt, but when it comes to my points, I want them to match up and I just couldn't figure it out. But it's a few years later now, I'm a better quilter, and so I think it's time to finally get this Lone Star quilt done. I'm gonna use a pattern, and I'm using the Big Sky Star pattern by Plains and Pines. So let's see how far I can get into this guy. And I think 2022 Jenna was being super nice to me. Let's take it back to 2022 Jenna. Oh, hey, it's me, 2022 Jenna. I decided to be so nice for you because I knew that you would put this project aside and not touch it for so many years. I'm actually surprised you're touching it sooner than I thought. What I did for you is I separated it out into groups of 4. It just made it so much easier for you, but I didn't write anything down, so you'll just kind of have to remember what I was doing at the time. I know you'll figure it out. Wow, thanks 2022 Jenna. You're so nice, except I am struggling to figure this out. I know that my first step is to sew all of these together, and if I remember correctly, I'm gonna try to quiz myself without using the pattern. I'm gonna lay these guys out oh so nicely. I don't know if I like these two same fabrics together, but we'll figure it out. I'm gonna go and sew these together, but when I sew them together, I'm gonna sew them leaving a little bit of space. I'm not sure how much space. I'm gonna guess like 2.5 inches. I gotta make a game plan for this, or else I'm gonna just go berserk. So first, we're gonna lay out all of my 4 strips of fabrics, groups of 4, and I'm going to sew them together kind of like this, and I'll look at my pattern to see the spacing in between. And once I do that, I will come right back. Hello, my audio did not record, so here is kind of my thought process going through this. I decided to deconstruct all of my piles, my groupings of fabric, just because it did not make sense in my brain, and then seeing everything laid out, I was able to group them a little bit easier. I also learned that I made a slight mistake, so I'm using fat quarters for this, but this pattern requires yardage, and so in order to get the right amount of cuts, I needed to sew my fat quarter strips together to be a little bit longer. And even though I like the groupings of fabric for the original diamond I made, it didn't fit my vision for what I have now for the quilt, so I decided to put those to the side. And thank goodness I saved my extra fat quarters from this fat quarter bundle and didn't use any of them over the years, because they came in handy and I was able to make one last grouping of 4 using those extra fat quarters. All of my rows sewn together, and honestly that was the easy part, and now it's time for the hard part. Usually when I strip cut things, I like to do it all at once, but I'm a little bit afraid because we got to cut these on a 45-degree angle. The pattern instructions for this are very good and give lots of helpful tips, and so we're gonna follow some of them. So when we cut these, we staggered them so that we can then cut it at a 45-degree angle, and so I'm using my True Cut ruler, and right here it has a 45-degree angle line, and then I'm gonna take this 45-degree angle line and line it up on the bottom of my fabric strip, and then just trim this guy off. And then we're gonna cut 2.5-inch strips, and we wanna keep that 45-degree angle. I can already tell that this is gonna be so cute when it's done. You don't need to see the rest of this because this is gonna take me a while. So I'm gonna finish this with all of these blocks, and I'll come back when we're ready to sew all of these together. Oh, wish me luck. We got all our pieces cut, and that actually wasn't too hard. I did have to make my 45-degree angle straight and correct, but I think that's okay. Now we gotta put them all together, and this is where I stopped last time. My points are not good. They look like they can line up from far away, but right in front of me, they do not line up at all. And so I wanna make sure that I get my points to line up. And so, to do that, I made a little practice project. My first set of guys, the points didn't line up perfectly, but I eventually got it. So that's why I love doing little practice rounds before I do the real thing. So we're gonna separate these into 4 piles rules of 8 because I'm gonna need 8 little stars. And now I gotta orient them in the right direction, except I need to look at my little mock-up that I made. So this is the middle block, and it looks like to make the inner point the lighter blue, I just wanna make sure that these guys are on the end for the points. So there we go. It's gonna look like that in the end, and it's gonna be oh so cute. And now we've got to draw a bunch of things on it, and this is what takes forever, you guys. Don't mind me, I'm just waiting to get started because I'm slightly intimidated to get started, but oh well, we're gonna do it anyway. For this process, I highly recommend a 3" by 18" ruler because it just makes things easier. I'm gonna do these guys first, and I have to mark the 1/4" for all of these pieces. So I'm gonna start here, and I have a little marking tool here that has 3 different colors on it. It has white, black, or like charcoal, and then pink. I think the white will show up best on this guy. And so what I'm gonna do is just measure a 1/4" from the edge, and then just put a little mark for that 1/4". And then for this side, because I'm gonna have to fold all these on top, I'm going to mark the wrong side of these guys. For this next part, if you know me, you know that I hate to pin, and this, we just gotta pin everything, which is a little bit frustrating, but I know it will turn into the most beautiful quilt at the end, so I'm okay doing that. I'm gonna stick it in where that white mark is and in that seam line. And then I can go down to my bottom piece, and there's that white mark again, and I'm just gonna stick the pin into that as well. And then if I push the pin all the way through like this, then these are lined up nice and perfect. Then I can go ahead and sew this guy using my 1/4" seam allowance. The pattern recommends a tight stitch, so I'm just gonna continue to do small stitches. Oh, also warning, on my little practice thing that I made, I broke so many needles. So I've learned that I need to stop right before my needle and take my needle out. I'm trying to stop like a stitch or 2 before, so then my seams don't get wonky, but we'll see. Let's see, did my points line up? Ooh, okay, this guy did not line up, so I think I'm gonna go back and try to fix this one, but these 2 lined up perfectly. I noticed that on this one, I'm not sewing directly on that white little line I drew, so I gotta fix that. This is good, I'm practicing. Okay, let's try this the 3rd time. 3rd time's a charm. On your mark, get set, go. Ah, much better. It's not perfect, but it's decent enough for me. And then these 2 I can sew together to make the block. And so I'm gonna mark my 1/4" here, and I'll mark it again, except I gotta do it on the back side. Perfect. Then I can match these guys up together. All I know is I can't get comfortable while doing this because the more I get comfortable, the more mistakes I make. So I'm just gonna pretend like this is the hardest thing ever so that I'm paying really close attention the entire time. Let me remind you that this is a learning process. Perfect. Those are beautiful. It's done, it's finished, it's absolutely stunning. This is gonna take me forever and a half, and so I'm gonna finish all of these and all of the other guys off camera, and then come back for when we can piece the entire quilt together. Lucky for you, that's only gonna take a snap. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Y'all, the blocks are finally done, and they took absolutely forever. Each set took around an hour to piece together, and for the most part, all the points match up like decently. There's a few that we're just gonna ignore and no one's gonna notice. Don't you dare say anything in those comments, but I know you're a nicey. But for my first Lone Star quilt and this style block, I'm not mad at my points. I forgot to show it all the blocks to you on camera before I put them out in this little Lone Star. So let me show you the vibe so far. I decided to lay them out in the original way I drew out, and I really like it, but I wanted to try a few different ways of laying it out to see if I liked any of those better. And in the end, I decided to go with the layout that was going from dark in the center to lighter on the outside, just because I love the way that looked. And part of me kind of wants to turn this into a quilted jacket in the future, and imagine that dark center part as the main panel of the back of the jacket. That would look so cool. Now I just need to choose the background fabric for this, and there's a couple of options that I'm thinking of. I went and grabbed like 4 or 5 bolts from the Grace Company fabric store. It's in West Jordan, Utah. You guys should come check it out. And I took several pictures of the options and decided to go with this light gray blue pattern that I thought really brought out the Lone Star part of the quilt and would be really cute. For the background fabric, I found this beautiful blue gray, and it has a wavy, knotty design on it. I feel like it works, and it's a little bit lighter gray than the gray in here, and a little bit bluer gray than this gray, so it'll really make the star pop. Now we just have to sew it all together. The way the pattern wants you to sew it together is in rows. So I've laid it out, and I love the way it looks, but now we've got to just sew it all together. And I'm just gonna go row by row like this, and then like this. We'll add these pieces on and call it good. I just want to show you my saving grace for this project. It is the 3 by 18 inch true cut ruler. This has saved my life, especially with marking all these points. Also, this little marking tool, amazing. All I have to do is line up that 1/4 inch mark on my lines, and then I can just mark everything. So I'm just lining up my 1/4 inch mark and marking it. If you want to do a Lone Star quilt, I honestly would recommend it. Is it easy? No, it's more of like an intermediate. So if you were a beginner, I would not say to make a Lone Star quilt. But if you've been quilting a little bit, it is such a classic quilt. And I feel like people aren't making it a lot nowadays just because it does take a lot more time. But I'm having so much fun figuring it out. If you've been intimidated by a Lone Star quilt, because I feel like a lot of people have, just try it. It's so much fun. For each block, you can put them together in 2 different sections. So like this section and then this section. So I think that I want to do 1/2 first on camera. Then we'll do the rest and then come back to sew them together. We're just going to do all the pinning first for this side and the marking. And I like that plan. If you ever make a Lone Star quilt, which I hope you do, one of my tips that I've learned throughout sewing all of these blocks together is when you're sewing something with nice points, a lot of times your sewing machine likes to take those points and dig them into the bobbin area. And the way you solve that problem is using a little leader fabric. It's called a leader, and it's like a scrap fabric that you just sew first, and then you sew your main piece. And that just helps prevent your little point from being sucked down into the machine. This is beautiful. Now let's sew all of these guys together. I feel like this is when things get easy, but remember, we're not getting comfortable. Okay, we're done with this section of stuff, and now I just have to add on my background fabric, and we're gonna start by adding all of the little half square triangle to the ends, and then adding some of the rectangle pieces on to the edge just to finish off our background pieces. I'm just gonna move these guys out of the way while we sew together the rows for this. This guy first, then this guy, then this guy. Just kidding, I forgot to put my little rectangles. We got the smaller rectangle here and the larger rectangle there. I'll put them on and be right back. It looks like I probably cut this piece slightly too long by 1 inch, but that's okay. I can just cut it off in the end because it'll be on the side. And we now just have to put all these together, and we have this giant half square thingamabobber that is gonna go right here. Remember how I said earlier that there's no Y seams in this? This is what makes it so that there's no Y seams, is this guy right here. So I'll attach this to this, and then all these guys together. So I'm just gonna sew this guy, and then we'll be back these guys, making sure that all the points line up. You know me, I love my nice points. Okay, so just like for this entire quilt, when we took our ruler and marked our 1/4 inch, that is what we're gonna do here, except on the sides. So right here, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 seams that need to line up. So I just need to mark those 4, and then on this piece, I need to mark these 4 seams where it's gonna match up. And this is where it's probably gonna get a little bit tricky because I'm not dealing with freshly cut nice pieces. I'm dealing with sewn pieces. But if I can get the points mostly matched up, that is all I really care about. Our seams did pretty good. They did pretty good lining up. I'm happy with that. Do you see it coming together? Can you see it? Can you see it? It's so cute. To finish this one block, I just need to make one more of these, but we're gonna do a little movie magic. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, look at that. I got 2 magical halves. Putting together the second half was a lot easier than the first half, even though the first one was pretty easy just because I knew what I was doing. Now we get to put them together, which I'm so excited. This is like, what, 3 to 5 years in the making? I just can't wait for this to be finished. And I don't have to mark my 1/4 inch now. And this is because my seams are at an angle and they're both angled in the same direction, which means I can just lay them right on top of each other. I'm still gonna pin every seam just because we are sewing on a bias, and that will help me keep those points nice and matched up in the long run. As I'm pinning these, I'm noticing that my initial thought is to look for the mark where to put my point into, but I don't have to do that. Okay, now we can sew it together and then press it and it will be done. Block 1 done, but the question is, how do I press my seams? I'm the type of person that kind of wants to guess because it's gonna have 8 different points coming into the center. I'm gonna guess they want you to press them open. Maybe because this is my first time doing a Lone Star quilt, I'll check the pattern and see. Y'all, it actually didn't say in the pattern, but it said in the pattern for the rest of the instructions to where to press the seams, how to press the seams, but not for this one. It takes a little bit more time, but I think it will make it so our seams lie flatter in the end. I'm not gonna show you the finished guy yet because I wanna keep it a secret till the end. I made one, I'm gonna make the other 3, and then come back to put it all together, and then we'll have our finished quilt. I'm so excited, I'm so excited. I got all 4 pieces done. This is huge. This quilt may be bed size. I don't even know. I underestimated how big this was gonna be. But now I just have to put these all together and it's gonna be fairly simple. I need you guys to help me out. Should I put this on my bed or should I make a coat out of it? I think a coat would be kind of fun. It's finally done, and as I was sewing the last little bit, I'm literally about to start crying right now. And I think the reason that this quilt is making me so emotional, because I don't usually cry over quilts or for sewing unless it's I'm really, really frustrated. But it's stunning. Oh my goodness. I think the reason that I'm getting so emotional over this particular quilt is because when I started it, I was so frustrated. I didn't think I would ever be able to make something like this. I never thought I would be able to make something that looked this beautiful and complicated. And it's been several years. I'm a better sewer now, and now I can do it. I can do it. And it's so beautiful. I know earlier in this video I said that I probably will never make another one of these again, but now I want to make another one because I can do it. It's done. We need to get a full thing of this. Are you ready for the big reveal? Just looking at this on the screen in front of me, it is absolutely stunning. Oh my goodness. Let me just tell you, this thing isn't perfect at all. I'm gonna start crying again. Tell me to stop. It's not perfect at all. With sewing on the bias and figuring out how to get my points matched up and marking that, my seams aren't as perfect as they should be, and that's okay. And I've noticed on the ends, they don't lay as flat as they should, and that's okay. I can just starch them up a bit and they'll lay a little flatter, but it's absolutely stunning. And I think when I long arm it, it will turn out beautiful. It will turn out perfect. Now I just have to figure out how to long arm it. It's stunning! Again, I'm gonna say it, you guys should make a Lone Star quilt because the amount of joy and love and pride that I feel for myself right now because of how beautiful this quilt turned out is so, I'm so overwhelmed with emotion right now. I can't even get my words out. I truly never thought that I would finish this quilt. Never in a million years. But it's done, and I'm so happy. Ah! Thank you all so much for joining me on Jenna Tries. I had so much fun. If you had fun too, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have something that you want me to try, make sure to comment it down below. There are so many things in the quilting world that I have not done yet that I just need to tackle, and I need more ideas. Until then, I'll see you next time, and have fun sewing. Make a Lone Star quilt.